my am I
Your
hello?
voice is breaking.
Not audible. Hello? Is it
Now
clear
audible.
now?
Now audible. Now
Yes,
audible.
sir. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. This is a startup development phase which need to understand, which creating, scaling, establishing. I'm just keeping it up. I'm reaching at some other. Now, this is the time when we system that requires certain component the partners like research, IPR, funding resources, innovation of the startup and customers. But as far as startup ecosystem is there, that constitute of innovation by startup. That is, we have the staff support organization. Am I audible, Dr. Ranjit?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Okay, please. Then service solution, funding sources. The initiative takes place especially in the research of intellectual property right and company and public sector. So we can say the area of a startup ecosystem that is far bigger than innovation. Why there's a need to focus especially on the startup ecosystem. The reason behind that thing, earlier we had simpler and linear world, but today it is globally networked. Earlier we have expensive and less creative technology. Today we have even hostkeeper and gatekeeper was there. But today we have fast, flexible, highly motivated, cost-effective system. Invention and research by big companies were taking place in past, but today innovation is open for innovation. Earlier, the innovation was, but today, unlimited innovation cost is there. It is not like that. There's a innovation is not costly, but unlimited innovation cost is there. Earlier, we used to have a thinking that old process can't be made improved. Today, we are open for opting any kind of model, especially for innovation. So the process which we have changed that is helping us in order to create a relationship with some other partner, and that is helping out in strengthening our startup ecosystem. Now, these are the few examples again I would like to quote. Forest Health, they have developed a specific kind of machinery that is called as a prenatal, which is helpful in detecting diseases like cataract, glaucoma, diabetic refraction, and cornea problem. And the support was given by CIIE, that is a technology-based business incubator located at IIM Ahmedabad. Parix, that is, they have come out, especially integrated pest management, integrated pest control system, which is creating a minimum risk to the people. And the support was again given by seed funding of 12 million from Omnivore, and CII Ahmedabad support system was received by this particular organization. Later stage received a Series A funding of 65 million for Omnivore, partner December 2013. The purpose was something different. Then EcoZen Solution, they have also received capital funding from State Bank of Patiala. Wilgrow Foundation invested in EcoZen in January 2014 in the form of equity and grant, and company have come out with a complete innovative its own forecasting, which is helpful in giving better information to Indian farmers for better livelihood possibility. And support was given by, again, SkyMet, which has received the funding from Omnivore partner, and they have raised near about 315 million. Up from that, IIM Ahmedabad, they have also supported this particular medical innovation ecosystem. Like this, the limitless examples are there. But what the government is doing. You must be knowing that government has recently come last year only and the previous 2019 they have come with a national innovation and startup policy 2019. Now, what's the purpose behind national innovation and startup policy? In order to create a very wealthy and thriving innovation or startup ecosystem in the country, so that the kind of support system that can be given easily to startup and startup can come, you can say themselves, especially in an innovative technology, and they can also produce something in order to have similar kind of picture which some other countries like China and USA they are having at present. And this is very innovative kind of policy. Let us have a look especially in this policy. We can say it is a guiding framework to enable the institute in order to actively engage students, faculties, and staffs in innovation and entrepreneurship related activities. They want to engage three persons altogether: student, faculty, staff. What? In innovation. An institute will play an important role, especially in order to develop our innovation and start ecosystem in that particular institution. Okay. If we talk about governance, clearly indicated to various higher education institutions, they have to develop entrepreneurship as a major part of higher education institutions' strategy. There's a need to have a resource mobilization plan to support the incubation in all the higher education institutions. They have been directed, especially in this particular. Any kind of hierarchical barriers which are existing, especially in formalizing the plan, making the things easy to all the startup or venture, then it should be minimized, clearly indicated. There's a need to have an entrepreneurship agenda promotion of entrepreneurship agenda across the institute. There's a need to motivate the faculty, student, and other partners in order to come formally and to prepare a startup action plan or to take an initiative in the form of startup. Then they have clearly directed the institution to implement the entrepreneurship strategy in all. They have directed to develop to market a strategy for a startup through institution. That means government is very clear, especially for innovation, National Innovation and Startup Policy 2019, in order to develop the startup or to promote the innovation to higher education institution after involving student, other staff and faculty. So all kinds of support being required for startups or innovation. Now, what should be the structure of a startup enabling institution? They have clearly indicated that there is a need to develop innovation cell, then EDC cell, IEDC, new generation IEDC innovation cell, startup cell, and student clubs, which can continuously promote and support the startup in that particular institution. Any kind of incubation center or incubation facility or pre-incubation facility which is existing, then it's okay. If it is not existing, that every higher education institution, they have to take the initiative in order to establish the incubation facility. And that facility should be accessible to all the students, staff and faculty 24 into 7 hours. 7 days into 24 hours. The incubation comes technology commercialization, and that should be registered under Section 8 of Company Act 2019, which will, or it should be a society which can be registered under Society Registration Act. And what will happen, it will simply commercialize the incubation which has taken place especially in higher education institutions. There's a need to offer mentoring and other relevant service through pre-incubation, incubation unit and return of fees, equity sharing and zero payment basis. So this is any kind of payment mode or the equity system which that institution is thinking they can adopt easily in order to support the startup. Now the question comes how to nurture innovation and startup in that particular institution. I have shared my, I'm getting a remark that my slides are not visible, Dr. Ranjit. Anyone please scan my slides are visible or not? Okay.
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay, thank you. Now, the questions come how to nurture innovation startup. There's a need to establish process and mechanism for startups in higher education. How? Allowing the student to register a company startup in the institute, even giving the address of institute, permitting the student to have a leave of semester year break for startups, even providing the accommodation to entrepreneurs which are involved in different startup activities in the campus need to provide the different kind of accommodation with the entrepreneurs are requiring. In case if any of the faculty staff is involved in a startup, there's a need they can provide a semester or year leave to those faculties which are involved in it. Then permission is being given to use infrastructure in lieu of 2% to 9.5% equity in a startup. Using the facilities of incubation center or the higher education institution in lieu of the 9.5% equity can be a higher education institution can have the equity in startups. There is a need to provide a service on mixture of equity, fees-based or zero payment. It completely depends on the kind of system the higher education institution want to maintain in order to promote the incubation in the institution. There can be the mixture of equity, it can be a fees-based or it can be a zero payment. Then alumni can also be permitted in order to have the startup facility. If they are thinking that there's a need to, they can take any kind of initiative, then they can be permitted, especially for this startup. Then over and above that particular activity where the faculty are involved, especially in a startup, they are being promoted in order to get indulged and involved with a student in order to promote the startup. Then that's why this particular activity is going to be considered a legitimate activity of the faculty. And coming time, no one knows that recently we have university and which has come in the form of a promotion of a person to in year 2018, July 2018. May be possible anytime the UGC guideline may come and they may keep this particular activity in the form of a point, maybe in the form of nurturing a startup. It may be considered similar to a research activity which is taking place in the institution. That's why it has been considered legitimate activity of the faculty. Then they had permitted to add product development and startup as a faculty duties. Product development in startup will be or it will be considered as a faculty duty apart from regular
Sir, voice has gone again. Sanjeet, sir.
Sir, can you please share the slides after the presentation is over?
Product development is startup technology license consists of faculty and experts who have expelled in technology.
Now,
They will be the decision-making body which will be constituted out of faculty and experts. Then at the same time, interdisciplinary research and publication, especially in the area of startup entrepreneurship, should be promoted. This has been completely mentioned National Innovation and Startup Policy 2019. Now, how to create innovation pipeline pathways? There's a need to linking up startups and companies. Unless the companies and startups are not linked, probably it is not possible, or the incubation centers are not linked, media is not linked, or research or technology or those persons which are having the expertise in that area, if they are not linked, it is not possible for any person to proceed further, especially in innovation and startup. Establishing institutions innovation council. There's a need to have the establishment of institution innovation council, which will help in allocating appropriate budget for this particular activity. There's a need to strengthen the innovation funnel of the institute. Accessing to finance must be open to potential entrepreneurs, from where the different kind of capital that can be easily accessed, that things should be properly made available in front of any kind of startup which are existing in the organization. Then above and all, There's a need to have an innovation toolkit, and it should be kept at the homepage on institutions portal. That is one of the very important dimensions. Now, the reason behind that in keeping the innovation toolkit especially in the homepage of institute portal is to attract the people which are involved, which are having great ideas and want to have a venture in coming time, which have initiated an activity in the form of startup and want to incubate it, so that they can be motivated, they can be attracted towards the institution, they themselves can come, so that faculty can be involved, particularly in this. Now, what should be the norms of the faculty startups? Norms of the faculty startup is created by institutions. Faculty should use the technologies for startup which originates from within the same institute. That is one of the very important areas where we must have the understanding that institute will have to work especially in one particular area, whatever the technology they have. Faculty must clearly separate and distinguish ongoing research at the institute from the work conducted at a startup company. That whatever the work they are performing at present, teaching, consultancy, lecturing, research, etc., apart from that, they need to work especially in the startup area that will be considered separate, but along with that, a faculty duty. Along with that, faculty should not accept any gift from the startup that is clearly mentioned in while the norms were being followed. And each and every higher education institution, they have the authority to formulate their norms. Any of the faculty cannot involve any of the research staff or their staff, especially in this particular initiative as startup and vice versa. Then human subject related research in startup should get clearance from ethics committee. So there's a need to have ethics committee in the institution. Anything which is related to a human subject that needs to have to get the proper clearance from the ethics committee of the institution, because ultimately the name of the institution is involved in it. We can say, apart from norms, there are norms of collaboration, co-creation, knowledge exchange, because we know it well. The startup activity is the activity of co-creation and knowledge exchange. That's why there is a need to have a norms of collaboration, co-creation, and knowledge exchange. And what should be the norm? It should be based on view that the stakeholder engagement should be given prime importance. Because in case if all the stakeholders which are a part of the particular startup ecosystem, if they are not given the prime importance, they are not given the facility, probably they may not have the breakthrough. That's why. Potential partners should be access to support the entrepreneurs and co-design of the program. So this is also one of the very important responsibility of, you can say, higher education institution. Those potential partners which can provide any kind of support, if that support may be in the form of technology, that support may be there in the form of giving the legal ideas, advisory, mentorship, or you can say investment, they need to be properly accessed or searched by the higher education institution. There's a need to develop policy and guidelines for forming and managing the relationship with the external stakeholder involved, including private industry. In case if they involve any persons from private industry, external stakeholders are there, there's a need to have policy and guidelines, especially in that. Knowledge exchange through collaboration partners should be made a part of institutional policy. That is very clearly mentioned in Policy 2019 regulation, National Innovation Startup Policy. Now, how the entrepreneur impact assessment will be done? Impact assessment of entrepreneur initiatives such as it will be done on the basis of what kind of performance has been shown by pre-incubation, incubation, entrepreneurship development, education, etc. on the regular basis. Then a strategy which has been formulated, what kind of impact it is going to create in case if any kind of change is required, especially in that particular strategy that should be properly focused. Success measurement should be in terms of sustainable, social, financial, and technological impact. That what kind of social impact that particular incubation has created, what kind of impact the product which has been developed or prototype which has been developed in the institution that has created, and what kind of profit they are drawing out of the total investment which they are made, especially in prototype, and the company has come scaled up production. The profit or technology is useful for the society. That should be, these are few of the considerations we should take into consideration while having the success measurement. Whereas commercial success is the only measure in long run. Finally, what we are able to have out of the total innovation which we have initiated and what we have earned out of it, that will be the complete measure in long run out of in the form of a commercial success. So we can say the future plan of the government is to develop the system is to develop India as an innovation hub. I don't know. There are a number of institutions, number of students, number of research scholars, number of faculty which are participating in this faculty development program. They must be having idea that this kind of notification they have received a long back may have they may have focused especially on it. And in case if they have not focused, after completing this faculty development program, they return back to institution, find this particular notice and start working out on that particular future plan the government is having. Maybe possible in coming time, higher education institution may be completely based on the complete support they are having from the startup which has been created by that particular financial institution in coming time. Because we can say the government is having a one plan, India, to develop India as an innovation hub. Because in past, innovation happened in isolation. Earlier, the innovation happens in isolation. But today, we are not in a condition in order to have the innovation in isolation. These are the few examples which simply tells that innovation happened in isolation. I will take 5 to 10 more minutes in order to complete my complete deliberation and talk. The picture which is being displayed in front of you, that is one of very famous garage. That is a Walt Disney's garage. Walt Disney's garage. And that is the example which simply does something in the form of innovation, but innovation which came out, which was a breakthrough innovation, that happened in isolation. So innovation in isolation, the best example is Walt Disney's garage. Hewlett Packard garage, this is also one of the best examples of innovations in isolation. Number of companies, they have come out with lot of innovative and very good product which has made a breakthrough in the market, and because of that breakthrough, they are the leader in their category, maybe standing in top 10, top 50 companies of the world. But those innovation has happened in past. Steve Jobs garage, you know it well, the well-known name Steve Jobs. We can say this is the history of garage where almost all the innovation that has happened in past. But time has changed. Innovation works differently today. There's a need to have the discussion, there's a need to have partnering, they need to have a collaboration, they need to have access of various infrastructure which is existing, not only infrastructures to be accessed only by one startup, there's a need to have access of all the infrastructure which is existing here. Innovators from different organizations work together in central location. Now the system is changing. You will, at most of the places which are coming as an innovation hub, presently different persons which are working in different fields, they are working all together in a central location. Because innovation hub creates constant opportunity for innovation, innovators to teach others. We know it well when the 2 or 3 persons, they interact with each other. Lot many things are shared with them. If someone know better, they tell some other person that this can be done this way, this can be done this way. That's why innovation hub is one of the center points where the innovator can teach other innovators or other startups. That's why innovation hub allow young entrepreneurs to learn from experienced entrepreneurs. Young entrepreneur gets the idea of how to proceed further, especially entrepreneurship. Innovator hub allows the mentor and advisor in order to advise the people in order to proceed further and to use the technology which is created for having the collaboration. Even they can have the complete access to the various kind of financial investment which are existing in different forms. We can say we have built an innovation startup to bring together. And this was the initiation which we had is in the form of innovation and national policy, National Innovation and Startup Policy 2019. It is going to bring the people together at different places, maybe higher education institution, maybe incubation center, maybe accelerator centers, maybe private incubators, maybe along with the association with certain private incubator, etc., etc. Because we know it one thing. There is a simple formula for fostering innovation. That is idea and money and talent. When these 3 things come together, automatically the work of innovation, getting it converted into a startup, converting that startup into a big enterprise, that is easily possible. That's why ideas, money and talent, when these 3 things come together, we will have the person where the investment can easily be accessed by any of the startup. We have the idea, but the talent is existing which is far away from each other. Let us go very close to them. Then and then only we will have a better condition. We know it well. In Innovation Hub, people connect like amoebas. People connect like amoebas. This is one of the research which was done by Frost and Aguido. They talks about collaboration in innovation takes place very nicely. There is 10.1% chances of collaboration is there in the same corridor. And 1.9% of chances of collaboration for innovation is there in the same floor. Whereas 0.2% chance of innovation collaboration is there in a different floor, and 0.4% chances of collaboration is there in a different building. Considering this particular aspect, if we have all the partners all together in a same corridor, probably collaboration will be high and the success will be high. This is also the same thing. Proximity causes collaboration. This is also another research which was done in 2010 that simply tells that distance matter. When the people are very close to each other, if they are between the 1 kilometer distance, then the chances of collaboration is very high. Whereas if the person is quite slightly away, even they are in 2 kilometers, the chances of collaboration is very less. So distance matter in collaboration. Keeping this thing, there's a need to have a incubation center and a startup, incubation. Now, this is the research finding which talks about the quality of research is highly impacted by proximity. Now, citations which were made, especially to the people which were there in different cities, that was 19, same city, 111, and same building, 125. So how collaboration and innovation takes place in proximity, this is the example of one of the innovation ecosystem. In case if the innovation ecosystem is very close to each other, probably the chances of having innovation is very high, and the chances of having better startups and innovation for better prototype is very high. It doesn't mean that the innovation which took place in isolation they were successful, or the partnering idea that is a new idea. No, it is not a new idea. Through one of the example you can understand this thing very well. Latimer, which was directly involved with one of these inventions, the telephone. He worked with Bell, Graham Bell. Latimer helped draft the patent of Bell's design of the telephone. He also worked with Edison. He was involved in the field of incandescent lighting, a particular competitive field, working with Hiram, Maximum, and Edison. So this particular Latimer worked with Bell and Edison. This is the example. First innovation hub, you can say Latimer is there in the center, then Graham Bell is there on the left-hand side, and that Edison is there on the right-hand side. This is the idea of partnering, how the partnering takes place and how the innovation hub is developed when the various partners becomes all together that helps in startup ecosystem. And this is the base behind the startup ecosystem. One of the pictures which is being depicted, which is displayed in front of me, there is a picture of a Kendall Square, which was in 1969. Kendall Square is one of the very famous places, especially in the United States. And how it has been converted, it is there on the right-hand side. If you want to have a complete picture of the Kendall Square, now it looks like this. Earlier it was like this. Nothing was there or in the form of infrastructure in Kendall Square, but today Kendall Square looks like this. And you can't believe how the innovation hub has been developed in Kendall Square today. It looks like this. Almost all the companies, famous companies in the world, they are very close to each other, almost keeping each and every person very near to each other in order to create an innovation hub. And that innovation hub is, fostering the startup ecosystem and the innovation ecosystem in order to create and help the, various startups which are having the ideas, which have the technology, which want to come forward. So this is the picture of innovation partnering, especially in Kendall Square. We can say the venture capital that has also increased drastically from 1999 to 2016, especially in Kendall's hub, innovation hub, and that is very, $78 billion based in CIC. Now, this is the innovation partnering, innovation in Massachusetts. There's a Kendall Square which is located in Massachusetts. is highly concentrated now. It is highly one of the pictures that is depicting how innovation hub has been created. We can say there's nothing like that. Success Innovation Hub draws world-changing entrepreneur. Android co-founder Rich Miner grew his team in Massachusetts Hub. So this is one of the very important breakthrough which we had formed. So this is the only example which I'm quoting in front of you. There are a number of examples which are the breakthrough out of, you can say, innovation partnering in Innovation Hub, especially in Kendall Square, Massachusetts, and which has come in the form of Android. And each and every person, you, me, everyone, we are having only one thing, that is Android. It was the outcome of, you can say, Kendall Square, Massachusetts Innovation Hub. And our country is also planning to have a similar kind of, innovation hub. Because what we can contribute, we can do through National Innovation Startup Policy 2019. Following the Kendall Square model, we can initiate the process of developing high-quality expanded innovation hub in the country. Because we need to consider every potential risk. Except the risk of avoiding all risks. Don't avoid the risk. Need to have the risk. We know it well, partnering with someone, telling some other person what we are doing, that may create a big risk. But risk of avoiding should not be taking place. Maybe possible some kind of breakthrough you may get out of those persons whom you are going to tell. That's why there's a need to discuss with every person. There's a need to have an innovation hub. We need to consider every potential risk, except leaving a one risk, that is avoiding all risks. So this is all from my side. Thank you very much. Dr. Ranjit?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So,
Thank you very much. I think I am there in time because I took 5 minutes in order to rejoin, and initially I joined late. So I have completed my 1.5 hours. And yes, please.
yes, sir. You are very much on time, sir. And actually, the topic was so interesting that I was so engrossed in this discussion, in this presentation, that even if you have taken some more time, then also there would not have been any problem. Now, dear participants, if you have any question to our resource person, then just feel free to have a discussion with him. Otherwise, we are going to wind up this session.
Any question? Because I have shared the Innovation Startup Policy 2019, which you might have accessed, but may not have focused and pay attention, especially on that part. But in coming time, it is going to become something mandatory for all of us. We are not imagining the kind of thing we can have out of Innovation Startup Policy. Any question which you can have?
Okay. I think
any kind of.
Yeah, I think there are no question, because when the things are so clear, then there is no question. There is no point of asking some questions.
Dr. Ranjit, there are two things. Not only things when things are clear, either things are clear or things are not clear.
No, this time the things are clear,
Okay,
and that's why this our participants may not have those questions. So, thank you, sir. And our participants have definitely enjoyed this session. Startup and innovation ecosystem, very pertinent and very core to this entire workshop once again. So thank you, sir, for being with us, and your entire session is already recorded, and we'll share it on YouTube. So like those who have missed out
Hello.
something. Yes, madam.
Hello, good evening, sir. This is Dr. Ritu from BBD University, Lucknow.
Yes, madam.
Sir, I have posted a question in the chat box. Can you please elaborate on it a little? I will be very thankful.
Question.
Please tell your question.
You just ask your question.
Sir, I want to know, or I want to understand that why some startup fail even when they have a very genuine idea. What can be the factors which might take a startup towards a failure, or we may say a discontinuation? How to prevent that?
Right. See, as I whatever I have heard on the basis of thing, I have understood